This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.
Hello. I'm
Hey.
sorry, that intro always gets me kind of amped up.
For sure.
How are you doing? How are you doing, Susan?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. First, thanks a lot for agreeing to do this. As you know, this is the first one. You're my first guest.
Yay.
And not to make you feel bad or anything, but I've worked around your schedule because I know you've been really busy the last few weeks, because I just thought it made the most sense. I always pictured you being my first guest. And we'll get into that later, but you have a big role in my real estate career that we'll probably get into a little bit later. So it's a little teaser for people. So I always wanted you to be the first guest. So this is the Real Estate Revolution podcast. What I'm really trying to do here is there's two things. First thing is want to provide a lot of informative information. So I'm going to have like industry professionals on the show. I got some lined up already. We're going to have like home inspectors, mortgage brokers, maybe some branding people, stagers and things like that. But the other thing was to kind of showcase our company a bit, because it's one thing to talk about how we have these like big industry like giants in our organization, but I thought, hey, I'm not going to tell people about it. I'm going to show them. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So if you're up for it, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the first question I had for you really was, I thought best place to start was tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about your real estate journey thus far.
Okay. So I'm a single mom, 3 kids. Love my job as a mom, obviously. About not quite 2 years ago, I decided to move into the real estate world. Previous to that, I was doing a lot of retail management. I worked for my dad running his business for a few years, which actually was really great. Allowed me to be home with my kids and, kind of raise them at home. And once they were off to school, I started kind of branching out a little more and doing some of my own thing again. But I had quite a few friends and people in the industry that had said, you should check it out and you'd be great at it. And it was something that really interested me. So I got into it. I've been licensed now, I guess, since March of 2020, I guess.
Okay.
And I got my license finally about 5 days before COVID hit and shut everything down. So it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure. And from what I'm hearing, a very different way of doing things now that I'm in it, as to like before, such a different industry right now. And so learning how to navigate through what we're working with now in this market has been very interesting, that's for sure. So I guess that's a little history on previous to real estate. And now I've been in for not quite 2 years. And obviously been a very impactful change for me switching to this career, that's for sure.
So 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I guess, this coming spring.
Yeah.
So where did you start your career?
I actually, right off the hop, I went with a Remax. I had some friends in the business, as I said, and I really leaned on them to help me make my decision which brokerage I would start with. And so I went with a Remax. That was kind of my final decision. I didn't really know a lot of people at the Remax that I went to. I knew of people, but not a ton. And, there was just something missing there for me. It didn't really suit my needs and what I was looking for. And I felt like I wasn't going to, maybe have as much support as I wanted. And that's not to knock that brand or that brokerage, but more just my expectations, I think, were a little higher than what I ended up with. And that's on me, really. Like, going into anything with high expectations, you're bound to be disappointed at some point or another. So I really, I made a decision to leave the brokerage after only 3 months of being there. And I partnered up with Century 21 at that time.
That's right. You gotta find the right fit for you, right?
Yeah, for sure. And especially when you're brand new in the business, not having the right fit of as far as a brokerage can actually, it really can make or break you in the business. Ultimately, this business, like, because you're running it yourself, everything is really dependent on you. And the brokerage can give you tools and they can give you all of the things you need, but if you don't use the tools, if you don't make a valid effort with everything you're doing, then I mean, really, the brokerage doesn't matter in the long run if you're not really working towards what they're giving you, or how they're helping you, or how they're supporting you. And so when I went to Century 21, I did get a lot of support. It was great. I had a lot of people there that were willing to help me out anytime I needed it. And, some good training and whatnot. And I was actually really happy there.
And how long were you at Century 21?
So Century 21, I was there, 3 months. I was there maybe 8 months.
And then I think I know the answer to this one, but what pulled you? You sounds like you had a good thing going at Century 21.
I did.
What enticed you to move again to your third brokerage?
I had an agent reach out to me, and at the time, I knew him more as a broker in our area. He had his own brokerage, and I know that he had switched to EXP. And so after making the change himself, he started reaching out to some of the other agents, and he and I instantly had a really good rapport. He was very easy to talk to, and he had a lot of good information. Asked if I'd be willing to get on a Zoom call and just go over some of the details that the company has to offer. And so I decided I wanted to learn more about what he was talking about. And we got on a call together, and he showed me some information. And it was information that once I saw it, I just knew it was the right fit for me and for what I wanted. So I made the decision to switch over to EXP fairly quickly, actually. After speaking to Pierre for the first time, I made a very quick decision, and it was one that I have no regrets.
Yeah, and then I've known you now for a little bit. I know you're very calculated. So if you're going to make a move like that, I'm sure you put a lot of thought into it.
I did. I sure did. And I mean, although I made the decision quickly, it didn't mean it didn't really, like, that I didn't process a lot of the information and really dig in and see if I could find out more about the company before I made the final choice to move. It just felt right when I made the decision to go. It felt really good. And I really wanted to, honor myself and my family, and be loyal to myself and my family. And that's partly why I made the decision. I knew that this could be life-changing for us, and it hasn't disappointed yet.
Now, before we unpack that a little bit, I think the big part of your story, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here, because I think it's really inspiring for new agents, because you've been in the business less than 2 years. Can we, if it's okay with you, I just want to talk about what did year one look like for you? How many transactions did you complete in year one?
I think I was around the 10. I wasn't great at keeping track of some of my stuff, but I think I ended my first year around the 10 mark, 10 transactions. And I was actually very happy with that. I felt like when I got in the business, I had some friends and family that just instantly trusted me and allowed me to work with them. And I'm ever so grateful for that, because that really got me going. I was able to find a couple houses for some people. And then in turn, I was able to list a couple houses with them. I also had a really good friend who is a mortgage agent, and she trusted that I was going to, work with her and bring her some referrals. And she offered up an opportunity for me to list a house that they had coming through their branch. And, just a few things that fell on me where I had really good friends who just really trusted me and allowed me to work with them. And I think that kind of gave me the boost I needed to get to where I was in my first year. And I have heard other people say that, 10 transactions in your first year is pretty good. I don't know, because, I'm new. And so I don't know a lot about the business itself. I'm learning there's a lot to it, and I learn a lot about it every day. But I was pretty grateful to kind of hit the ground running. I'd quit all my jobs. I didn't have any choice. I had to do something.
You're all in.
Yeah, I had to provide for my family somehow. So I knew I had to really focus. And so, my first year was really good. I had a lot of fun, and I met some great people. So I really enjoyed that first 10 transactions were very special to me.
And just to put that into perspective, if any non-real estate agents are watching, I'm making up numbers here, but I want to say sometimes new agents, sometimes they don't get their first deal for 6 months. I would say a new agent doing 2 or 3 deals in their first year would be pretty good. So 10 is an outstanding start. So you finish your first year, you got 10 deals under your belt. At this point, you're with C21, or no, or year 2. Which brokerage were you at? Probably when you started your second full. You haven't even finished 2 years.
I haven't finished 2 years. My 2 years will be up in March, and I started with EXP in February of this year. So I haven't even been with EXP for a year.
Okay, so then how's your second year shaping up? How many transactions are you at so far this year, and how many do you think you'll have by the time you reach the end of your second year?
So right now I'm sitting about the 23 mark for this year, and I would say before my year is complete, I will be upwards to 30 plus transactions. Well, it looks like I'm very firm on about 30 transactions for the year, which is it's just amazing. I'm really feel very blessed that I am where I am right now. That's for sure.
And again, to put it into perspective, doing 30 deals in this industry, you'd be, I would just guess you're in the 10th percentile or better, because there's a lot of agents that do 5-6 deals a year. There's a lot of full-time agents that hammer away, and they do 12 to 15. So that's something to really, really be proud of.
Thank you. No, I'm very proud of that.
And just to dig a little deeper, and again, wherever you feel comfortable, you don't give away all the trade secrets. But what would you say? Obviously, you said you got a nice little boost from the family when you first started and friends, but you got to give yourself credit because you had to run with that, and you had to perform still. And obviously, they trusted you, and that speaks to your character as well. But what would you say are some of the lead generating, or how have you generated your business?
Well, I think one of the biggest things for me, believe it or not, has been social media. Previous to getting into real estate, I spent a lot of time, just dabbling in a few other things, and some of which was like multi-level marketing. Maybe I was, working with a company that sold like shakes or protein shakes, those types of things. And I did one with Pampered Chef. Like, I worked a couple of those types of businesses. And so I knew that having a presence on social media was really important for any business like that, where you want people to think about you on a regular basis, or for them to come across your name and be like, oh, I know what Susan does, or whatever. So social media would probably be one of the biggest things. And I'm one of those people that, although I don't put everything on social media, I'm okay with sharing my good days, and I'm okay with sharing my bad days. And, even sometimes like I'm okay with putting up a struggle or a celebration of certain things. And for whatever reason, I feel like it really, it captivates a lot of people. And so I've gotten a lot of business straight up from social media. People contacting me and saying like, oh, I've been noticing you're doing a lot of deals, or I've noticed, I noticed you did a challenge at the gym and I can't get motivated. And what are you doing? And even just the smallest little conversation with someone, it really starts to build some trust within those people. And I've actually gotten quite a bit of business just from doing that. So, well, actually, like you know this as well, and everybody here now knows I like to talk, and I have a lot to say. And so sometimes when I'm out in public, or if I'm, pretty much anything I'm doing, I'm always talking to somebody. And I think that that's really important in this business as well, is just putting yourself out there, and don't be afraid to say hello to somebody walking by you on the street. Don't be afraid to start up a conversation with somebody in the supermarket or wherever you are, because you never know. At the golf course, like that's another place I've spent a lot of time through the summer, at the golf course, and I just pick up conversations with people and introduce myself. And I think people appreciate just having a raw person in front of them who isn't afraid to have a conversation, especially through COVID, because we were so secluded and shut down for so long. It was hard to muster up business. I don't know about you, but I struggled.
Oh, no, definitely. Well, it sounds like you just humanized yourself and you were just being yourself.
That's very true.
And just putting yourself out there on social media. And I thought you'd be the perfect first guest, because I thought I just set up a couple of lobs and then you could just run with it. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously you made the move to EXP. So I'm just curious. So obviously you had a good thing going, as you mentioned, with Century 21. Yeah. What is it that attracted you most to EXP and the EXP model?
What's the most? I mean, obviously there's some really great things about EXP that we all know about, things like the revenue share and the stocks, amazing training. What really got me was, when I was talking to Pierre, he talked a lot about family and family coming first and family loyalty. And, I think he's a good representation of what EXP is in a whole, in the sense that we are a family. Like we, even take you and I, for example, and I use you for an example on a regular basis, is like, I didn't know you, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, I didn't know you at all. And you're one of the people I talk to the most. Now you've become a good friend of mine and somebody that I really value in my life. And I think that's all just like the collaboration that EXP brings to the table is bar none. Building relationships and making friends and supporting the other agents. And that was kind of what Pierre sold me on. And I know sometimes you come in and you're just like, I don't want to have too high of expectations because you don't want to be disappointed. But I always carry high expectations of pretty much everything. And I was not disappointed with this. I really feel like the collaboration that we have, especially in our group, obviously with EXP locally and now in Peterborough, I love the collaboration and the feel of being part of a family and supporting other agents. And I think that was what struck me the most when he was talking about it.
Yeah. And for the people that don't know, so we got into contact, you had a listing.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to say Prince Edward County, but it was probably Napanee.
No, it was in Napanee. It was just outside of Napanee, actually. Okay. Yeah.
So I went, showed your property, and then, I knew about EXP and I was intrigued, and I've been softly checking it out for a while. And then I think I left you a message talking about your property. And at the end, I just piggybacked that with, hey, I see what you're with EXP. I wouldn't mind picking your brain about that.
Yeah.
And then that's where it all started. And then we had some conversations. I obviously met with Pierre. I vetted the whole thing, and yeah, again, it's one of those things where people don't realize as soon as they look at it and they start vetting it and looking deep into it, it's like a no-brainer for anybody, for most people, I'd say, to come over with the EXP. So let's talk. So you were able. Another great part about your story, I think, is what's the group you've grown so far in just 8 months, 9 months with the company. How many people are in your group that you brought?
Well, I have 8 in my group. Obviously you're one of them. And I have brought on 6 of those 8 people myself, and the other 2 were brought on by yourself. So you're now growing my group, which is pretty amazing. So the whole agent attraction thing, in the beginning was a bit of a turnoff, to be honest with you. I just felt like I had a bit of a bad rep, and now being in it, I can see how powerful it can be. I will continue to do it the way I'm doing it for now, and just be there if people wanted to chat about it, be a sound mind that they can, feel like they can have a conversation with, the same as you did. Can you just answer some questions? Like, we built a little bit of rapport through that transaction that we were working on together. And, I felt like you kind of knew right away I was an honest person, and that I was going to answer some questions as honestly as possible. And I gave you as much as I could, good or bad. And I'll continue to do that, because I think it's really important that to know that this model isn't for everyone, but I think the majority of people could really benefit from it. And the more people who could see it the way you see it and the way I see it, the better for them.
And that's important to note. People don't, the group you've attracted, you literally attracted it. You haven't done any recruiting, any cold calling, because I know the company gets a reputation. But to me, most of that is coming from, maybe some old school brokerages that are they're just worried and concerned. But I feel like the fact that you're just doing your thing, you're just trading your real estate, and you just naturally attracted these people because they see what you're doing. It probably helps that you have that nice social media presence so people see what you're doing. But I think that's important to note, is that, again, you've attracted. You haven't been doing any recruiting.
That's very true. And I'll continue to do that. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times I'm excited about this company, and there's lots of times I'm excited about the company, actually all the time. However, I try not to push any of my beliefs or anything on anyone, for that matter. I'm a firm believer of living life in a way that is just built on kindness and truth and honesty. And I just I'm grateful that there's people that will approach me about it and want to talk about it, because I really do want to share the company with people. I just am doing it a little bit differently than some people, and that's okay. They're not doing it wrong. I'm not doing it wrong. I just think it's really important that people feel comfortable to talk about something like this, because it really is worth the conversation. And if people can have just a conversation with someone and learn a little bit about what the company provides, and the opportunities that are available to us, especially right now when it's still fairly new in Canada, for us to take advantage of it now and really grow something special, it's worthwhile to me. I think when I started with the company, we were at 48,000 agents, and I just saw a thing a couple of days ago that said we're now at 67,000. So
69 a week ago.
69. So there you go. Even a new one, 69,000 from 48,000. I think when I first started, that was back in February. So the company is growing quickly, and there's a reason for that, right?
Yeah, I think they're projected early next year to hit 100,000 agents and to be in at least 20 countries. So it's the fastest growing company in history. But it's tough. Like me personally, I I don't put it out there. I don't talk about it. People have reached out to me, and some people have come over and joined me. But I'm just mindful of where people are at. It's still new to Canada, and there's a bit of skepticism still. But the turning point's about to happen. This happened down in the U.S. Probably a year and a half ago. It's something's new. They don't realize what it is. But again, as soon as anybody takes the opportunity to look at this, it is seriously the best opportunity that's ever existed for real estate agents. But I have a hard time because I have a lot of friends that are real estate agents, and I purposely don't talk about it just because of that stigma that is currently present with the company. But when they do reach out to me, I'm more than happy to let them know about it. I know the tipping point's coming, and probably in a year or so from now, but people don't realize, if they don't see the writing on the wall, how this industry is changing, and it's changing quickly.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be EXP, these traditional bricks and mortar companies, they're not going to survive. They'll be almost non-existent in the next 5 to 10 years. You might see little hub locations, but I don't know how people just don't see this change is coming.
Yeah.
And that's why when people see something different, something new, I think that's where the skepticism comes from.
Yeah, and you have to think, like, we could talk about this topic forever, but there are tons of comparables. Like if we look at Amazon and Uber and all of those things that are now, virtually, we can just, my 13-year-old said to me the other day, "Oh, don't worry, I ordered skip the dishes." And I was like, "What? Why? How do you even know how to order skip the? I didn't even know we had skip the dishes in my town." But that's the way, like, that's where our youth is moving. That's the way we're moving in that direction of everything being virtual and no bricks and no mortar, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. That's the direction we're going. And so getting in early and really trying to build a business with the additional, revenue streams that we have available to us through this company will make a big difference, I think.
Yeah, and I do think some companies will survive, like a Century 21. I feel like they're kind of on the cutting edge of like the traditional model, and maybe it's a hybrid model. They'll have some cloud-based products. It's just the traditional old school bricks and mortar. It's just our reputation, and that's it. And we have no online presence. I just don't see them surviving. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of those go way of the dodo bird in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to, again, for your story, again, being in the business under 2 years and having so much success in all the transactions you're doing, you're able to build a global team of 8 agents in 9 months. What would you say are some tips you have for new agents coming into the industry?
Wow, I could give a few because I definitely learned the hard way in a couple of areas. I would think the biggest tip is, like, when I first started, I was like, I just want to go out on my own. I can do it. I've been in sales my whole life. Like, it's a no-brainer kind of idea. But this is a different industry. It's a different business. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a good support system when you start, whether that's starting on a team or in a group with others. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. We're in the beginning, when I was starting, I shied right away from that. I just wanted to do it on my own. And so I think that's one piece of advice I would give is don't hesitate when it comes to finding a team to join, or a really solid group of people that are going to have your back, or that are willing to answer some questions late at night. I have a couple agents that are on our team as well that, sometimes I get late night calls from them, and they're like, "I'm so sorry to bug you. I just needed this." And I'm happy to help them. And, somebody said to me, they're like, "Well, yeah, they're financially aligned with you. Of course you're going to help them." And I'm like, yeah, that's right. They're going to have the support they need. And yes, we're financially aligned. And that's amazing. It's great to have that support when you're brand new. And I think that was something I was really lacking in the beginning. I wasn't under anybody's wing, and I didn't really have the help I needed to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for all brokerages, but I would say a lot of them, well, you get hired. Obviously, joining a team. I actually just shot, the YouTube channel I started. I just shot the video earlier today of team versus solo. So I'll probably be posting that tonight or tomorrow.
Good.
But not to digress too much, but it depends on the individual. I find sometimes if they're really self-motivated like yourself, and it's like, I got to hustle or there's going to be no food on the table kind of approach that you had, that I'm sure lit a fire under you. And there's always going to be people who are just, they don't want to take that risk of really being a solo agent, running your own business. They don't want to take that risk. So maybe they're just happy being part of a team, and you have those supports. You get a lot less of the commission, don't get me wrong, but maybe you make up for that in a bit of volume. So I would say that most if you don't join a team and you go solo, most brokerages are maybe throwing on a weekly training video and you're making a little bit of notes, but you're for the most part in it on your own. So you got to be self-motivated, or maybe it's a team approach. Or
you have to think too, like when you're on a team and you're not, your commission splits are a little bit different being on a team. You have to think too, like, is that motivating enough to make you want to earn more money, or to get more deals, or to work a little harder so that you can move off of that and move into an individual instead of a team model kind of thing, right? And for me, I'm currently on a team, and I don't mind it at all. I like it. I like the collaboration, to be honest with you. And I think it really keeps me motivated. And I love the group of people that we work with. And so, I don't know. Yeah. One day I've had a couple people say, like, maybe you should go out on your own again. And maybe one day I will. But I really do wish that I had started on a team model in the beginning when I very first started. I just think the support is so real there. And that could make or break you again. That could be another thing that could help you become a lot more successful.
Well, what's important too is if you enter the business and you're not trading real estate, you're not learning the business, you're just going. Mm-hmm. So in that scenario, if you're not generating your own business, it's usually best to join a team. And let's speak a little bit of the Nadeau team is just, I've been in the business a little while now. They got a special thing going out there. I feel like they do everything right. They got a great culture. So I think you got a great setup over with the Nadeau team there.
I agree.
And the last one I have for you, and I know we just talked about you're really happy in your team, but granted that you've been so successful in under 2 years, obviously this is the way your career is going, and you're happy with your team. But what's the future down the road? What's the real estate future looking like for Susan Sobranski?
Well, that's a great question, and I think I have started to develop a bit of an answer to that. Okay. Because before I really was just like looking, very short term ahead, at not really focusing on like a long-term strategy or what I wanted to do. But I've thought a lot more about it lately. I do have 3 children, one of which will be 16 soon. So in a couple of years, she would be able to actually get her license as well. And she's discussed doing that. And I think that's kind of exciting. So I kind of picture in a couple of years, like having a little Sabramsky clan, just, of real estate agents, and see where we go with it. I wouldn't mind having a team of my own at some point. And, I think that I could bring a lot of value, especially when I'm a little more seasoned and I've been in the business a little longer. I think I could bring a lot of value, especially to like newer agents. I've got a big heart, and I like to see people become successful, and I like to put a lot of happy and positive energy out there. And so I think that's ultimately going to be one of my goals, is to have a little bit of a team started at some point of my own. And I really do actually kind of hope a couple of my kids are going to be on that team, because like, what a pleasure would that be to work alongside of them.
And as a quick footnote, when we first talked about EXP, One of the thing you said was that you love the most is about you build a network of 8, and that's going to grow. But you can actually pass that on to spouse and sibling as long as they get their license. So it's actually transferable. You can actually move your group over, and all that passive income and revenue share could potentially go to your children if they have a license.
That's right. So it's willable to your children or to a spouse. And I think if they don't have their license, they're given 12 months to get
12
it.
or 18, yeah.
12 or something like that.
I have the fact
Yeah.
check that, but,
And again, like just another opportunity to build a legacy for yourself, for your children or your family, to be able to transfer that over to my kids down the road, especially because in my opinion, I feel like we kind of got in with EXP at a great time, like just starting to grow in Canada, and we're going to see a lot more growth come. And so I'd love to be able to offer something amazing like that to my kids down the road, even if real estate isn't what they choose as a career. I got thinking about it, and I thought, what a great way to be able to get yourself through college or university down the road. I was a struggling parent leading up to real estate. So, I didn't have the opportunity to put as much money away for my kids' education as what I would have liked. And so that's a real focus of mine now. But wouldn't it be great for them to be able to, work through the summer and even, part-time here and there and sell a couple houses and pay for themselves to get through school or whatever the case may be. They're just going to learn a lot, and I'm excited. I was excited when my daughter said that she might consider getting her license and working alongside of me. That would be really cool.
Well, tell her she can join the David O'Connor team.
Yeah, well, I know a great agent you could join under.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I had. And I know we do talk all the time, but I think maybe this Christmas time, or as you approach your 2-year anniversary, maybe you should pause and then kind of look back at all the accomplishments you've made in the last 2 years. Because again, that's all you've known, but you're not the regular real estate story. Like a lot of people wash out in the first six to 12 months. The fact that you're trending towards 30 deals in your second year, you've already grown a group of 8, which is, I'm sure, going to continue to grow. It's just, I'm really happy for you. I'm happy to be aligned with you and to know you. And that's it for the Love Fest. You won't hear this ever again from me. But thanks again for doing this.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm sure I'll connect with you later in the week, showing you some cool new videos or some facts or some stuff I found out about the company.
Oh, I'm sure I'll hear from you within an hour.
What are you thinking? Do you want to go out on the Honey Badger? Yeah, let's go out on the Honey Badger.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to begin with.
Awesome. Thanks, Susan.
Okay.
Really
all right. Thanks, David. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.